as a symptomic social bond, insofar as it brings to the fore issues of creativity, love, and identification, and social consistency. As many of you know, I'm a geographer. One of the cool things about geography is the subfield known as literary geography, which for some has become an intellectually mature nexus of study that now constitutes an autonomous subfield in human geography. So my presentation is very much engaging literary geography. So what is this subfield about? Basically, there are three sort of elements to this subfield. We have theoretical interpretations of geographical tropes, devices, and figures, so looking at the geography within various texts. There are also empirical investigations, grounded studies of the spaces in which literature is produced, disseminated, and consumed. So one can think about Joyce's Dublin, Dickens's London, and the ways in which the material and the textual overlap with one another. Geographers also engage methodologically with literary and poetic modes of writing, and this is the third sort of main aspect of literary geography. But oddly enough, for a social science like geography, there are no geographical studies on literary clubs and societies, and there's thousands of them across the world that gather in the name of a specific genre and or author. And we may even include Lacan as one of the authors that gathers together various groups of people. So to counter this lacuna within literary geography, I've done a grounded study on the Stormy Petrels of British Columbia. They are Vancouver's official Sherlock Holmes society, and in major cities across the world will have at least one sort of Holmes society. So I was engaging research on this group. They're based in the West End of Vancouver, based insofar as they meet at someone's home. So Sam's home, and the home, the domestic, is brought to the fore in my paper here. And they would meet in an apartment monthly to discuss various Holmes stories, to go through the Holmesian canon of 56 stories. This paper is very much interested in attending to the way, according to Saunders, geographers are into the scale of analysis, the sentence, the paragraph, the chapter, so you see the scaling up these various aspects, and how it intersects with the scale at which the literary work is presented, the individual consciousness, and I would add the unconscious too, the home, city, or region. So this paper is very much focused on the individual level, the home, and the collapse of these scalar aspects too. So this paper emerges from a more broader research context, and I was engaged in looking at the emotional and aesthetic geographies of multicultural life in the Greater Vancouver district. We always hear about the injunctions of celebrations, to enjoy diversity, celebrate diversity, and I was fascinated in those of resonance and desire as they took place in various multicultural contexts. I looked at the Iranian Nowruz, New Year's celebrations. I looked at Italian, Portuguese, nationalistic enjoyment in Soccer World Cup. I looked at Punjabi Bollywood musical celebrations in Surrey. And the Stormy Petrels were my Anglo-Canadian white middle-class, middle-age group. I needed a white demographic, and I thought the Holmes and the Commonwealth thesauruses, which you can think about them in terms of this old celebration of the beauty of the Commonwealth, which is very much part of the imperial legacy of the Holmes canon, were a good group to look at a white context. I did participant observations with some of their activities, the monthly meetings, took videos with the help of a research assistant. Another aspect of this research, I examined love sublimation in the context of cosplay, anime cosplay on a UBC campus as a different modality relating to the other /neighbour. A geographer who is Lacanian, what's going on there? In a nutshell, much of my work in the past decade or so has been trying to convince geographers of the import and indeed high value of Lacanian analysis of socio-spatial practices. As we know, Lacan suggested that the structure of subjectivity is topological. So I've been asserting with other geographers who engage psychoanalytic thinkers that people's desires, fantasies, and anxieties are not simply located inside our heads, in the intrapsychic realms, which is privileged in many ways by psychology. But in psychoanalysis, it's rather these aspects, forces and structures are materially externalized in our lived social spatial practices. And it's a really good book there. I didn't have any to put on the table at this event, but I highly recommend it. So the Holmes edifice, well, officially there's the canon of 56 stories which were written between 1887 and 1927. Arguably, Holmes and Watson make up the most famous literary couple, certainly in modern times. The author, of course, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, born in Edinburgh, is a renowned 19th century, early 20th century author who didn't just write on Holmes and Watson. He is prodigious in literary fiction and non-fiction writings. There's been a proliferation, dissemination of Holmes canon in different media, audiobooks, comics, movies, TV shows, and it's been very much a renaissance in recent years with the Benedict Cumberbatch series, and now the CBS Elementary, which Carol brought to my attention more recently. Holmesians, Sherlockians, they are in love with Holmes. The love is a prominent relationship in terms of the binding of these groups. There's pilgrimages to the Reichenbach Falls in Switzerland, which is a scene in one of Holmes's texts. So I'm really interested in the porosity between text and landscape. Geographers often talk about the landscape as a text with authors, readers, rewritings. This is in Baker Street, in the tube station nearby 221B, Baker Street, where Holmes and Watson dwelt together for many years. You can listen to Sherlock in terms of statues, dry cleaners, we'll quote the master signifier of the deerstalker and pike. This is the museum, Sherlock Holmes. You can see his various paraphernalia books. This commodification is very much large in the Holmesian cultures, bathroom ducks. And in terms of the love, people will go on these pilgrimages to various sites in the text. And there is a great deal of passionate identification, attachments to Holmes and the various actors. And so I want to emphasize the modality of love in this paper, particularly in terms of the Sinthorne. There's 419 active Holmes societies worldwide, particularly in Canada, the US, Japan, interestingly, and the UK. And they vary tremendously in terms of size and scale, in terms of the numbers of members and their various activities. Stormy Petrels is Vancouver's official Sherlock Holmes. It was founded in 1987. Today there's about 40 members. They have 8 monthly study sessions, croquet match and barbecues. They visit bookstores, conferences. They celebrate Holmes's birthday with a master's dinner brunch at White Spot down Georgia Street, not far from here. So one way to analyze this, and this is a pre-submission paper, is to think about Sherlock Holmes as a Sinthorne, the knotting together of love and literature. It's coming out in English officially with Adrian Price's translation, and as we know, much of the seminar concerns the name of Joyce, Joyce's Sinthorne, and it represents the shift in Lacanian diagnosis clinical practices from the dissolution of interpretation, the hermeneutic elements of Lacanian analysis of a pathological symptom, to identification with the Sinthorne. There's a tremendous amount of wordplay on Sinthorne, St. Thomas, home, tomb, sand, St. Thomas Aquinas, and I'm particularly interested in the synthetic self-creation that the Stormy Petrels brings to the fore. So in many ways my question is about the knotting together of imaginary, real and symbolic spaces through the Sinthorne, the fourth knot that brings together the Borromean ring or knot. This notion of Sinthorne has been used to look at cinema, ideology, literature, transsexuality and organizations. Hardly mentioned in geography. There is, apart from myself and one or two others have mentioned it. So let me walk you through the various knotting together of love of literature and life with the Petrels. Symbolic nomination, putting things into words what I've been feeling, the sharing of signifiers, the attempt to knot together through words. All the members go through investitures. They take on names. There's the primary school master, echoing a character in the Holmes story, Peter Wood. Consulting detective is Fran Martin. And there's a whole nomination, a self-nomination of members throughout many of the groups. Baker Street Irregulars, a famous New York group, nominates various members who identify with various characters. And I want to play some video clips to show various aspects of Santomic relations.
It's a stinker. And it has to be called a stinker, so that's okay. Oh, yeah.
Well, after Arthur Doyle brought Sherlock Holmes back from the Reichenbach Falls, wasn't it? What was it? There was one of his regular penny dreadful type readers came up to me. He says, Dr. Doyle, Sherlock Holmes never did quite recover from that, did he?
Never the same.
He was never quite the same. He never really recovered.
Brian, I must thank you for that, because I've been trying to put into words my feelings about this story, and a few of the others, Matter and Stone, for example, and you put into words what I've been feeling, and I didn't know how to describe it.
Use them any time you like. Okay then.
So there's a sharing or collectivization of words, putting into words feelings that couldn't be described prior, symbolizing various affects within the group concerning the responses to the text. Imaginary enjoyment refers to the enjoyment of meaning, finding enjoyment in the various meanings of the text as they discuss them in the group. And this concerns a kind of pre-conscious emergence of a story of text riddled with enjoyment.
Yeah, on G-O-N-O. It's, the E address is Donald K. Pollock, all one word, P-O, Donald, as in duck, K. Pollock, P-O-L-L-O-C-K.
O-C-K,
O-C-K. Pollock.
Yes.
And not the fish.
Donald K. Pollock.
At Gmail, G-M-A-I-L, .com.
Okay.
That's where you get hold of Don.
How many capital letters in normal form?
No, it's all one word.
Yeah, but is it...
It's usually no capital.
In his name is capital D, but the E address, there's no capitals, it's all lowercase.
Okay, well...
And some of those sites tend to be awfully edgy about uppercase and lowercase.
Okay, I'll
And I've got his postal address here as well. Okay, there's that.
So I'm deliberately focusing on the enjoyment of meaning, not so much in the text, but in the diurnal quotidian spelling out, belaboured of course, of the email address, the P-O-L-L-O-C-K, O-C-K, ooh, O-C-K, Pollock, and the enjoyment, the meaning, and the real idea permeating some of the various letters. I'm going to skip to the Santomic materiality in terms of real, what I call Santoms, and this emphasizes the materiality of the letter or the byproducts of enjoyment, the tons and stuff of Sherlockiana. These are the various books, merchandise, paraphernalia. Zizek, of course, has emphasized a great deal of the materiality of the Santom. The jouissance and the Titanic has permeated jouissance, Sylvia Place, Platts, flakes and blobs of mucus, and strange roots seething with enjoyment in the pond. Toad Hall is the site of one of the Petrels members, Len Evenden, and it's a shrine. It's packed full, brimming with Sherlockianas, books, videos, trinkets, signs that reference the world of Sherlock Holmes.
In third place, this has been gutted. I've been selling stuff off for years now.
Wow, look, James, look at this.
So I'll get a bit more about it. This is all the residue of that huge sale.
The residue
put away.
white products.
I'll get a bit more. I'll get a bit more like some more scriptures. Oh, did you see Sherlock up on the ceiling? Oh, wow. Where did you get that from? Gas station. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, Chevron. If they time it right, when they're ready to throw it out.
And I posed to him, you're quite a collector, I asked Glenn.
There's little killer steps over here, watch out, okay? Boy, I'm so well hungry about this. He is a collector of all cars. There's what's left. He's still a lot left. You're very much a collector. Oh, pack rat. Yeah. It must be in the genes. Yeah. Good.
And then you go into his garage, and I'll be wrapping up very soon. You go into his garage, and he's got these stuffed mannequins of Holmes and Watson. That is a slightly creepy element to the movie. So to conclude, I've attempted to show one way at least of how literature and life can be lovingly knotted together through symbolic nomination, imaginary enjoyment, and the materiality of the real stuff, byproducts of Holmesian passions, the Santongs. Poetics of lived and literary space are not only about text per se, the literature itself, but also about committee business, collecting Sherlockiana objects, things that we believe are peripheral or literal, the edge of the literary texts themselves, and certainly a great deal more of empirical, literal, theoretical, and methodological research should be conducted on literary societies, perhaps even Lacanian societies, to highlight their very odd but beautiful singularities. Thanks a lot.